you guys, welcome back to Southern Latitudes. I'm Robin and I garden in East Central Florida Zone 10A, and today I've got a little special video for you on how to grow artichokes. A lot of people don't know that you can grow them in Central Florida or Florida at all, but it doesn't always take 2 years to grow artichoke harvest and crop. No, you can do it in 1 year now. The breeders have got together and created new genetics, and so now, as far as I know, there's 2 varieties out there, the Imperial Star and Tavor artichokes, that can grow and bud up and flower all within a 12-month season, and you can be eating artichokes by next year. So the first thing, let's talk about varieties. Okay, a lot of artichokes are usually 2-year plants. So you grow them the first year and you get the harvest and the fruit the second year. But in Florida, well, let me back up. So a lot of growers and breeders are now making artichokes where you can grow them and harvest them in the same 1 year that you started the seed. So how does that look in Florida? Because it looks nothing like it does up north. Well, first of all, you got to get the right seed variety. And one of the, so I originally learned all this at Johnny's Seeds, and Johnny's Seeds has Imperial Star that they bred for a 1-year artichoke where you can harvest in 1 year. That's what I'm going to call it. So then they further developed it, and now they have another variety named Tavor, T-A-V-O-R. And so you can use either one of those. One is just the new improved version. So, but now that they have those, other seed purchasers are now getting in on it. So I have actually found, it was a surprise to me because I usually get mine at Johnny's, but I ordered from Two Leaf Market, which has these really cute little packets, and you might be able to find them at other places, but they had Imperial Star, which is the original 1-year artichoke variety. So I ordered them because I was already placing an order, and I wasn't placing an order to Johnny's. Well, I finally did, but I wasn't anytime this spring and summer when I first did it. So one of the first things you need to do is get the right variety, get the 1-year variety. Then the second one is make sure you have fresh seed, because it really takes fresh seed to get these things cracked open, okay? You don't want some seed that's been sitting around for a long time. If you have an opportunity, like I bought plenty of extra, so what I will probably do is vacuum pack these and then put them in the refrigerator. So I did my original direct sowing this year on September 10th. I have started them in July, I've started them in August, I've started them in September. It seemed like my germination rates got better the closer we went into cooler weather. So this year I thought, well, and also they like to be in a deep growing pot or tray. So I started this year in my garden, just thinking, okay, it's closer to the house, I can keep a closer eye on it. I really like my mushroom compost setup, and I only got 3 plants out of it. So I decided to do a little search, and I found that you can do some pre-treatment things. Now, I've had a friend mention a 50-50 mix of water and hydrogen peroxide. I'm not sure how exactly that works, because if you soak it for any amount of time, the hydrogen peroxide turns into water, if I'm not mistaken, right? So, but maybe initially it does do something in the pre-soaking. Then I found online another way you can pre-treat your seeds. You can do it with lukewarm water for 8 to 12 hours. Well, of course, it's totally cooled down by then, but it is enough to soften the seed coating around it. So I did that, but I really wasn't sure that was going to work. So I went ahead and took it a step further. Now, this is optional because we are stratifying. That just means we're doing a cold treatment on these seeds in Florida anyhow, because we're starting in fall, and they'll go through my winter or your winter and stratify with the cold weather there. And I believe you only need it between 35 to 40 degrees for 1 to 2 weeks. We've got that covered all day long in Central Florida. So with that being said, I still went ahead and did it, but in my fridge. So I took my seeds. Let me grab some seeds so you can just see what they look like. And here they are. And they look a lot like a sunflower seed to me. And, but maybe they're just as hard as a sunflower seed. But anyhow, they're about the same size and same color. So I took these and I sprayed down a paper towel. And I wrapped these inside that paper towel. And then I put them inside a baggie. And then I put that in my fridge. And it says to 1 to 2 weeks. So at my first week, I pulled them out and unwrapped the paper towel, and there was no action going on at all. So I popped it in for 3 more days, pulled it out at day 10, still no activity. So I put it back in the refrigerator, pulled it at, because it says 1 to 2 weeks. So I pulled it at the second week, still really nothing. The seeds seem to have changed color a little bit, but nothing. So I just threw them on the counter and just kind of forgot about them, because I thought to myself I was gonna maybe put them in the ground, and then I didn't. So they sat on the counter another 3 days, and that's when I began to see activity. They had been pre-soaked or pre-treated, they had been cold stratified, and then they were just sitting in the house, which is about 75 degrees during the day and about 73 degrees at night. Just still sitting in that wet baggie. Now that you have your seeds going, you want to put them either into a container or you'll want to put them into the ground. And I chose to do it both ways just to see which way was better. You want to probably put it about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch deep. And they prefer slightly acidic soil, but I just use potting soil. A pH about 6 to 7. They do like to be kept moist, but not overly wet, because you can rot out these seeds. I've done that way in years past as well. But they do want to be fairly moist and then dry out between a little bit, but don't leave them in a tray that has a cup underneath it that holds the water in. Don't do that. If you're up north and you grow in a more temperate zone, you'll want to start 8 to 12 weeks before going into the ground after your last frost, or so they're ready by the end of your last frost. They do like to germinate about 70 to 80 degrees. So again, it was perfect in the house after they were cold stratified. So Floridians, I suppose you can start anytime in the fall, within 3 months before October. I would say in my area in Central Florida, the end of October is probably when you really want to get them in the ground. I don't think you want to get them in the ground in September or even August or before. They don't love super humidity. So October seems to be when our humidity is decreasing, and usually by the 3rd week of October, we've lost the wet season and gone into our dry season. You could still have a hurricane mess that up, but I'm giving you the best guess in a non-hurricane season year for me. I've seen no activity in the cups yet, but I have seen them starting to break through in the in-ground garden. If you're going to put them in a tray, they say to avoid direct sunlight, but I kind of don't obey those rules. As you can see in a lot of my videos, I start all my seedlings outside, and I start them in July, August, September. Mine see a lot of heat. Now, they probably don't see 6 to 8 hours of full sun, but they usually will see at least a solid 4 hours of full sun. So they stay on my grow table. They may be a little protected in the morning. It just depends on which grow table I use. Also, I have one grow table that gets like tons of afternoon sun, and I have another grow table that gets afternoon shade and morning sun. So, keep an eye on your babies. That's all I'm gonna say, is keep an eye on your babies. If they seem like they're suffering, put them in indirect sunlight. But for me, I don't baby mine. I start mine tough with tough love right from the very beginning. Here is one of the artichokes that started September 10th. So these actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 true leaves, and that would be a great size for transplanting. Now I already sowed mine in place, but if you wanted to transplant from cups, this is a really good size to start from. These were also started on the same day, but they're a little bit further behind. Perhaps the irrigation is not working right here, and they probably need just a little bit more water. Now 4 days ago, I put these in the ground. The seeds were already cracked, and you can see they're starting to pop. There's another one. Another one. This one's, oh, really close. Super close. I can see 2 leaves on that one. And this one. So they're coming along just fine. I'm going to try to go ahead and add in some footage from years past when I've also had successful artichoke germination then. Not high germination rates like I'm going to get this year, but I did have pretty good germination, and I was able to actually successfully eat artichokes the next year. Last year was a little different in 2024 because I had, I don't know, 7 or so artichokes going into the ground, and only one of them made it actually to the next year, and I believe they got crowded out by light and water from the collards that were in the row next to them. Be sure to give your artichokes lots of space. I'm talking about 2 to 3 feet between, or tons of adequate water, or not having something tall next to them, because I only ended up with 1 artichoke, and it was always a little bit smaller than it should have been compared to the year before in 2023. And I also did not, the fruit did come up out of it, but it was very small and it was not successful, and we did not get to eat it at all. This year I'm hoping to have correct everything that I learned from the last 2 years and have a very successful 2026 artichoke harvest. So you guys, thank you for joining me on this video. I hope you made it to the end. I hope you learned something really great about how to get higher germination rates with your artichoke seeds. I've heard back from a couple of you that were also going to start artichoke seeds, so I hope your crop is doing well. Let me know in the comments down below if you are growing them this year, or if it's something you'd like to do in the future, and maybe this video has inspired you. So with that said, you guys take care, God bless, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!